but it's every previous recession that people view as a missed opportunity, but any current recession that they view as a risky time to invest, because it's all about looking back, being able to look back and be like, I should have done this.
Yeah.
Where my job is not to be perfect. My job is just try to be the best I can be and make sure that I can tolerate the time that it might take for the market to recover. I think that's how you stay very level-headed.
What's going on, guys? Austin Zaback here with another episode of the Austin Zaback Show. A very special guest today by the name of Ricky Gutierrez, whom I've actually known for a long time. And actually, I don't know if you remember, I bought your Audi R8 from you back in like
I do remember
2017,
Yeah.
I believe. And, you know, over the years, you know, Ricky's somebody that I've really admired from afar. You know, he's a stock trader. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's a real estate investor. He's now a father.
Yes.
And, you know, 1 million subscribers on YouTube, built a community of hundreds of thousands of members, the LPP community, and just somebody that's just super humble, down to earth, and just grateful to have you here, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I haven't been, I was surprised how long it's actually been since we've met up.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have a lady friend?
I do. Yeah.
And
I do.
you have a Urus.
I just sold the Urus. Yeah.
How much?
I sold it for $295.
Did you profit?
Yeah, I did. Yep. I bought it for $275 and sold it for $275. Either $270 or $275 and sold it for $295.
Dude,
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful car. I remember when I saw that, I was like, damn.
It got rear-ended, and but like just barely. Like somebody rolled into me at a stoplight, like an older lady. And it messed up like the plastic on the back.
Yeah.
And I'd already put like 8,000 or 9,000 miles on it. And
Damn.
so I was just hovering underneath like, I think like 11,000.
Okay.
And so I was like, now's the time to sell it. You
Still
know,
low miles.
Still low
relatively
miles.
pretty low. What is it, 2020?
It was a 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it was a beautiful car. I actually bought it from LAC.
Really?
Believe it or not. And I hated the red. I was looking for a Urus. I've lost money on a lot of cars. So unlike you've always make money on cars. So that actually kind of inspired me. I'm like, I need to actually be profitable on one of my vehicles. You know, I've been profitable on like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
And so I was searching, and then the red one came available. I was supposed to buy a white one, and they sold it out from underneath me in like Oregon. And then the red one came available at LAC, and I was like, at first I didn't like it. I was like, I don't want red, you know? And I didn't think it would resell good. For some reason, I was in my own head. I don't know why. It was like all red, you know?
Yeah.
And it was kind of a lot. And so,
I think that's the best.
I know.
When I saw that car, I was like, well, if you're going to buy a Lamborghini, like, do it.
Yeah.
Right? And I get it. I mean, I love the simple cars as well, but it was crazy to see how the car market absolutely took off. And not just that, but really just everything. Now everything's pulling back.
I know. Everything's, I think what do you think about, I guess we'll just jump in here real quick and then we'll go along. But what do you think about the car market? Obviously you have do you still have the 488 or is that?
No, I have a Ferrari F8. I have a twin turbo Lamborghini Evo. Okay. I have an AMG G63 G-Wagon. Okay. I have a Tesla.
You just got the G-Wagon.
Model X Plaid. Yeah, that's my daddy car.
Okay.
Yeah, for Remy. And then, so I bought the Model X Plaid for my lady. Okay. And then I have a Toyota Tacoma 2004. It's doubled in price since I bought it. Yeah, I bought it for $6,000, probably worth maybe like 10 or 11.
Okay.
I have a twin turbo 5.0 Mustang that I originally bought for Ismail.
No way.
And then he didn't want it, so now I got stuck with that. And
gosh.
I think that is all I have.
Okay.
So they're all for sale. So before anyone says anything, I always tried to buy my car for a good deal. Do I always make money on it? Definitely not. I lost my butt on a 2016 Porsche GT3 RS. Do you remember that one? The silver one?
Very well.
Never drove it. This is the worst part. If I'm going to buy something, I really don't care about what, you should never spend your money or why buy flashy cars. I'm a huge car guy. If I'm going to buy something, I want to buy it effectively. And I also want to make sure that I use it. Yeah. Every other car that I've had, I've always used it. I've always put miles on it. I let my friends drive it. It's part of an experience for me. And I buy them for a good enough deal where I can either break even or maybe make a little bit of money. The Porsche, I lost $15,000. Never put 300 miles after nearly 3 years of ownership.
Wow.
It was just, and right when I sold it, think of this. 2 months before the chip shortage. Now you can't find one for less than $210,000. I sold mine for $165 because I bought it for $180.
Oh my
So
gosh.
again, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
My job's not to be perfect. My job is just to learn from those mistakes. And that's kind of like what we were just talking about now, the real estate market, right? So this transition of where everyone was so spoiled in almost every market, crypto, real estate, stocks. And now guess what? You actually have to work and think for it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you got to be smart. You have to know, and you have to really, you've got to get a better deal. I saw you bought the G-Wagon like for record low, lowest in the country, I believe I heard
one
you
of the
say.
lowest,
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
And so, but that takes work, right? It takes, you have to know what, like, you can't just aimlessly buy a car now or a house or anything, right? And just, think that, okay, the market's just going to go up and I can make money,
And I think it's those spoiled markets that really condition people to be that way. I think now it's not also a time to be scared. I think money definitely can still be made. We're still buying properties. I'm still buying cars. I mean, I just bought that G-Wagon, and I'm still, if anything, now I'm most excited to be investing in the stock market. I think now is the time, especially in the stock market, where the preparations and the choices that you make now to take action are ones that will pay so much in the future. I mean, you have companies like Apple that offer 30% ROI from previous all-time highs. Amazon, one of the most valuable companies that's publicly traded, 70% ROI based off of all-time highs. Tesla, over 50%. I mean, the list goes on, right? Even your most of quality blue chip companies, forget about trading. I get that trading's not for everyone. It's very time consuming. It's considered to be more risky. Conditions are not in your favor to trade. Conditions, I think, are so far, like, it almost doesn't make sense on why people shouldn't learn more about investing in the stock market for years from now, right?
Agreed.
Buy one or two stocks that you intend to hold for a very long time, and you buy it at a huge discount. It's not that they have to recover right away. Things can definitely get worse, but you're buying back in levels of 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID levels.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Insane. I completely agree. I think that the stock market is just, I think a lot, people are either like all real estate and they like completely ignore the stock market, I feel like, or a lot of times you see they're all stock market and they like ignore the real estate market, right? And I believe that a truly intelligent person should diversify and do both, in my opinion, right? And I'm a big real estate guy. But I do try at like literally every week I'm looking at the stock market and I'm, buying stocks that I believe in and that I'm going to hold for a long period of time. I'm not much of a day trader because I don't have the time. But I'm constantly buying stocks and I'm buying them. I'm dollar cost averaging, right? So if the market's trending down, but I believe that company will recover long term, then I'm going to buy. I see that as a buying opportunity, right?
Exactly.
Same thing.
I have friends that are financial advisors for JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, and that's all they're doing right now for their clients in the 7 to 8 figures. It's dollar cost averaging on the way down, just because if you actually understand how the market works, that's where big money is made, right? And I think that's what's most exciting. It's like, yes, it's challenging, but on top of that, it's like, it's because it's so uncertain that I feel like it just really excites me. Tomorrow's the CPI data report, so I don't know when this is going to be released, but July 13th, 1 hour before the market opens, the CPI data report is released, and it will show us if inflation has peaked in the month of June. And that will determine if the market finally begins to recover and or if it just continues to sell off.
Right, if we're truly in a recession.
I would say we are.
For sure, 100%. But no, we definitely are. I think that's awesome, man. So for maybe people that haven't heard of you, which I'd be surprised, you have built a massive community, over 1 million, I believe, subscribers. Congratulations on YouTube, something that I aspire to eventually do. What got you into stock trading? I mean, for people that don't know, when you've been doing it for quite a while now.
Correct, yeah.
I believe, did you do it when you went to ASU, correct me if I'm wrong? Okay. And around that time is when you got into it, if I recall.
That's when I began to do it more consistently. So it was something that I've done even since like 18. So how I got into it is I watched the Fast and the Furious movies. I searched up how much it costs to buy a GTR or to own a GTR. And I had to find ways on how to make money. Obviously, just like people when they're just getting started, nothing against them, but I began learning about like penny stocks and OTC stocks. Now I don't trade anything like that. It's just too high risk. Again, I don't ever like to overwhelm people with my opinion. If that's what you want to trade, all power to you. It was just too risky for me. It was too inconsistent. I began then to trade a specific of pairs of ETFs, and I always have seen that to be more reliable for me. With these specific pairs, so an example that I can give you is I trade these NASDAQ pairs of ETFs. So when the market goes up, this ETF follows. The inverse does the opposite. So it doesn't matter if it's a bull market or a bear market. Therefore, it doesn't matter if the market's going up or down. There's always a side to trade. I mean, I don't have to short. Wow. So that's where I really began to kind of like film my videos. I began trading live every day. And I just began filming videos every single day on the 3 hobbies that I enjoyed most. So when I moved to Arizona to go to the ASU Polytechnic campus, I think it's because I put myself in an environment where I was completely disconnected. I was a Southern California boy. I didn't have any friends in Arizona, and I began to be able to control who I became friends with. So imagine being able to do that. Right? I can't even say imagine. Well, because I mean, it's a very similar start for you. And I think because of that, I was able to cherry pick the people that I thought would actually have been of value for me. There's an application through ASU called Devil to Devil app. And this allowed you to put a little bio. It's like a little social media app that they had. I don't know if they still have it. And in my bio, I said, I trade in the stock market. I'm looking for programmers and engineers. That was my bio. Yeah. I'm at ASU, which is considered one of the biggest party schools, and my focus was I wanted to work with people that can develop applications. I wanted to start the next Facebook. Right. That's just, it was just, I just wanted to surround myself with like just smart people. Yeah. And one thing leading to another, because of that environment that I put myself in, I was working all the time. I worked for Verizon Wireless. I started part-time, then I transitioned into full-time. So full-time sales, it allowed me to qualify for my first house. I was going to school full-time. And then on top of that, I was making videos, like I said, on those 3 hobbies: trading the stock market, trying to buy my first house at age 20, and buying and reselling cars. Yeah. 3 hobbies and still 3 ventures that I still partake in. I would say pretty consistent. The buying and selling cars, I'm just the investor for Karsten and More. So you've met Caleb and Weston Moore. They now have their 3rd location. Their first one started in 2020
I remember.
In Mesa, Arizona, and their other 2 are in Arkansas. They're killing it, right? Yeah. My business partner, Nick, that's here, we started it as a hobby during COVID, and it's just crazy to see how something with the right people and the right partnerships can really flourish. And then the last thing is Tech Buds and my trading group, right? So it's something that is a big passion of mine. I began uploading videos because I just enjoyed it. I saw it to be a way that I'm documenting my life on a day-to-day. It's free, and it's something that I hope Remy can always look back on and be like, wow, that was my dad on this day. And I upload 2 to 3 videos every day, so she'll have enough to look back on.
I love that. And I can't wait to talk about, what has changed since you become a father and the psychology of that and how that's, changed your perspective and your mindset. Before we do that really quick, I would love to, one thing that I've admired since the day I met you, and I believe I've met you in 2017, the beginning maybe of 2017. I believe actually at the time, because you were still living in that first property in Gilbert.
I still have it.
You posted about it recently.
I remodeled
the value of it. Like guess the value. And I believe you had at the time, because you had the blue GTR. I don't know if that was your first one or your second, or I know you had a couple.
2017, I think that was my second one. I had an Alpha 7 GTR. It's one of my favorites.
Right. Yes, and so, I've known you, I've seen you evolve from that time, at least, until today. And one thing I've always paid attention and admired you from afar is that you're very consistent. You're one of the most consistent people I've ever met in anything that you do, from posting a YouTube video or 2 YouTube videos per day, like live trading in the morning, and then a talking head, maybe educational style of one of the 3 hobbies in the evening, or even really anything that you kind of put your mind to. You're very consistent, right? Something that I think a lot of people, including myself, have even not been as consistent over the years. Like, how have you been able to? And then I guess one more thing on top of that is you're very real and authentic. You're consistent and you're just real. You're just yourself. You see so many people that aren't themselves, which maybe even is the cause for inconsistency. Like, how did you develop that?
I feel the first thing is I just enjoy what I do. Every single morning, if I had to wake up and do something that I absolutely hated, it would act as a reason on why I wouldn't want to do it. I enjoy the weekends now. I always look forward to Mondays because the stock market opens on Mondays. Yes, I also, I've been going live every single day since 2018, right? So even when I'm traveling, it doesn't matter where I'm at, I'm supposed to be going live. People consider that an inconvenience. Well, I also live a very blessed life. So it's understanding the position that I'm in. The second thing is the people that I choose as my partners I wish I can attribute all of my success solely on myself. I've definitely met and started trying to do businesses with maybe some people that it just ended up falling through, but I'm very quick to see how and what if I actually see something worth building with someone, because what I've learned is it's not just the money that I'm investing, but it's also the brand that I'm creating with this individual. When I talk about Justin, when I talk about Nick, if I'm talking about Weston and Caleb for that dealership, if I'm talking about Jake with the apparel, all the different moving pieces, I've just been so fortunate that I don't know how it happened. Yeah. They always message me. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Nick messaged me.
Yeah.
Justin followed me with it when I was driving my GTR. Weston and Caleb just said what's up, I think, through Instagram. And Jake was a friend of a friend. It's so crazy to see how these different things just played out the way that they did. I'm just so thankful where if it wasn't for Nick, I wouldn't be flipping as many houses as we are. I wouldn't be a part of this, right? Sure. And it's only, I think, really elevated our business to the next level, where it's not just, yeah, we're doing better in this area of our business, but also it's our entire brand where we can be of value for the people that watch our content. We've paid, I think, over $50,000 in finder's fees to the people that have sent us deals. And it's crazy that we live in a world where someone can follow me, we can work together, and we both make money. Right?
It's so awesome. Yeah. I absolutely love that. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that, to the authenticity part really quick, there's a lot of people that just struggle to like find like their voice or like to be, you know, social media and like creating what you've created, I think does have a big part in just being your authentic self. And you're a natural at it. You've just always been your authentic self, whether it's on a podcast or on your YouTube channel, in real life, you know. And you see a lot of content creators, and I've even been like struggled with it, I think, in the past, where I'm like, who am I or whatever, and then you eventually realize, like, wait a minute, like I am who I am, and I've got to show that to the world, and there's an audience of people that will resonate with that, right?
Exactly.
If you're a real estate agent or a real estate investor, one of my favorite tools that I use every single day in my own personal real estate companies is www.topredata.com. Top RE Data, you can actually get a 7-day free trial, and there are so many different amazing features you can do with this particular software. This is how we comp a lot of our properties. This is how we skip trace a lot of owners, how we get in touch with people, how we identify leads, do all kinds of different research on all of the different properties. They have mobile, they have desktop, and there's comprehensive data nationwide, which is incredible. You can do just about anything with topredata.com. You can find divorces, you can find tax defaults, you can literally find any kind of data that you're looking for, get information, get owner information, contact information. You can even automate different things, you can target different things, and even build out your entire team with topredata.com. So again, if you're a real estate agent or a real estate investor and you are interested, make sure to go ahead and sign up for your free trial for 7 days at www.topredata.com. Like, how have you managed to just stay in your own lane and not like look at other people and try to like, you know, and just continue to do what it is that you're good at and be authentic and be you?
I think it's many things, but two things that come to mind right away. First, it's not that I don't look at other people, even coming here and visiting your guys' office, seeing everything you guys have going. That's motivating to me. I never feel disrespected by someone else's success. I like to understand the why and how you scaled it to this point. And then that's what I'll like try to take time to learn more about. And if it's not myself that does it, then I have people within my team that I'll try to delegate it to. The second thing is I'm also only partaking in areas that actually are something that I value. Where when I'm talking about cars, when I'm talking about the stock market, if I'm talking about real estate, those are areas that have always been of interest to me, and you can look back to my first video was a YouTube video, my second video was a car video, and one of my third or fourth videos was trading the stock market. It's something very early on, dating back to 2015, I think, that it's just, it was what it was. And I know that, I mean, I say things in a specific way. I drive specific cars that some people, it might rub people the wrong way. I flip houses, and we've seen this was a newer reaction where people don't like that we flip houses because we bring up property values as according to, their perspective. And what I've learned is that people tend to follow you for 3 different reasons, and you provide value in 3 different reasons. First reason is because it's info. They like the way that you express information. The second reason is because you're entertaining. And the third reason is, shoot, is that a brain fart? The third part is, I think, one of my main reasons on why I do well, and it's accessibility. Through my Instagram, through my Discord, through my YouTube channel, I try to make myself as accessible, because it's not always the people that do the most, but it's the people who can be most of value, and it's so of value to be accessible. Yeah. Why did we grow at such a rapid pace? I think it's because I made myself more accessible than anyone else. Yep. And I think that's what I would attribute our success to.
Which is humility, I think, a lot, partly, is just being humble and thinking of yourself as somebody that is, like you said a little while ago, like you're just blessed to be able to live the life that you live, and it doesn't make you different than anybody else inherently. It's just that's just the timing and the reality of like where you're at. And I think you wake up every morning with gratitude and humility, and that, is attractive to the world, right? Yeah. And people want to be around that, and they want to be associated with that. I'm
definitely not always super positive. We obviously have to try to be as happy as we can on social media, because especially with the people that we reach, it just, imagine following someone and all their being is a Debbie Downer, right? So we have a role to fit. But my guys see me every day, and they know when I'm having my good days. They know when I'm having my bad days. But my kind of equilibrium, the person that really balances me out, is Remy. And that's something that we can get into later.
I would love to. Yeah, I think that's actually really cool. And I've always wanted kids. I obviously don't have them yet, but I can't wait for the day. And I have no idea like what to expect, so let's just dive into that a little bit right now. So obviously you just had a baby girl.
Yep, 5 months.
5 months old. And, I've seen the posts. I've seen, you just got the dad car, right? So obviously the lifestyle's changed. Things have had to have changed.
Of course.
What are some of those things that have changed?
I don't live with 8 guys anymore. to start off, it was kind of part of our brand where like we all lived together. We all had like an abundance of like sports cars or supercars. It was, and probably will always be, probably one of the funnest periods of my life. I think it really molded me to who I am now. But I also think this transition that now all of our guys have made, where like Ismail got his house, Justin now got engaged, right? We have Nick that now lives on his own with, his group and stuff like that. Weston is now in Arkansas running all the dealerships. I think it was a step that was just, I always kind of like almost thought of like, when are we ever going to like grow up? We talked about buying cul-de-sacs or land, building a cul-de-sac and making our own neighborhood, because we never wanted to leave. We just have always had so much fun, not only working with one another, but also being around one another. And it's something that I think people found rather unique. But this transition that now I've made, I now live with Rachel and Remy, as we were expecting Remy. Remy was born early 2022, and it changed the way I felt love, where I thought I loved my family, right, deeply. I thought I loved Rachel deeply, which I do. But then my love for my baby, who I didn't even know, and then I see her, she can't even speak to me, she doesn't know who I am, and this love that I would feel or do feel for her every single morning. The first thing I see when I wake up is I call it her moon suit, or astronaut suit, because it's like a little fluffy suit, and it extends her on all fours, and we put her next to us around the middle of the night, and it's one of my favorite parts of the day, where I look over and she's always just tapping my face, and then she always has her binky in, and when I look at her, she smiles. You just see gums, and her binky falls out, and it's just crazy to see not only someone be so dependent on you, but you can feel love without even having to express it through, you know, any form of language. I don't know. It's
hard to articulate.
Yeah, I would not be able to, but it's a blessing that I did not know I needed. And now the transitions that we've been able to make, I think, have been for the better. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's really cool. Has when you made all those transitions and everything, I can't imagine like it was easy, right? Like, it was probably difficult. You know, you're unsure like how it would look and feel. You know, moving out with all of the guys and going with Rachel and Remy and doing that whole thing. Like, there was a lot of uncertainty, I would imagine.
Probably not as much as you would think. I'm a very like set person where I think it was just randomly. I told the guys like, oh, I'm moving out. I was like, I just got this place and this is where Rachel and I are going to be. And no one lived in my room, which was the master bedroom. That suite alone was like 1,000 square feet. Yeah. And Nick ended up taking over like 2 months later because I thought I was going to I was like, I don't know, but I thought I would always kind of have a place there. And then a couple months later after that, we were like, I should probably sell the house. That was the hardest part for me. Yeah. It was letting go of the guys. That was the most challenging where it was almost, I felt like I was letting them down. But I just felt like it was a push that we all needed. That was the most challenging part. Making the decision to move in with Rachel, having Remy, setting up, that was
a no-brainer.
It's not even a question, right? I was able to make those decisions very confidently. The only one that kind of hurt to make was telling the guys that it's the end to what we viewed as our little era. So yeah, I
love that. Was there ever a time when you got the news that you were going to have a baby girl? Was there ever a time till today, and maybe there even still is a time where you questioned how to be a good father, how to be the best version of yourself? Has there been any self-doubt there at all, or have you always been very confident in your ability to?
No, I feel like I was pretty confident in, I did not want a daughter. I definitely wanted a son. And I know when I'm actually going to have a piñata for my gender reveal, and I hit the piñata, and I saw that it was pink. And I remember that was everything just didn't seem real until that moment. And I remember almost crying at our gender reveal. And I'm not a very emotional person. So when that happened, I walked away and I started picking up the glitter on the floor just to try to stay busy. And it just was so surreal of I felt like I could almost picture her. And I am now so grateful that I have a daughter, that I am a girl's dad. And I think I could not that I don't want a baby boy, but I can live without having, I don't even want to say that because then if I have one, right?
Yeah.
But no, it was so crazy to me especially before, of how I used to see, not ladies, but I just felt like it was such a difficult world for women.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that happen, I was just like, wow, I just have to make sure that I do my part in being the best. But when it came down to did I ever question if I was going to be a good dad? Not at all. I was very confident that I felt like I was in a perfect position to do well for my family, to not only take care of them, but also be there for them. I didn't want to be someone that, has someone else raising my daughter. I want to be as involved as possible. I think my lifestyle definitely allows that to take place.
That's awesome. I love that. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners, as I've gotten older, I've realized they struggle in relationships, and they struggle to find a partner that will support the lifestyle, the craziness, the uncertainty, whatever that looks and feels like for them, obviously. And to even find, a partner in whatever the case is, how has Rachel been in, obviously you do live a spectacular, blessed, abundant life. And I'm no business owner, it's not easy, no matter how dialed in or delegated you have everything. There's days that are going to be tough and things of that nature. And having the right partner to support you, I've found is extremely important. How have you guys been able to work through the ups and the downs of all of that?
Definitely. And Rachel's my first partner that I've ever had that really almost allowed me to see this, where I just wasn't, I would say, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't value my other partners. It just like it was just different when I met Rachel and when we began to like try to make it happen. Where there's a conversation that I specifically remember of, when it comes down to family, because we're blood, it doesn't matter how bad things get, you are always my family. But I feel like relationships for me were never approached that way because of how accessible anything was, where it's not just the money, but it's also the following. And with following comes accessibility, and with accessibility comes temptation, where if anything gets challenging in one area, I can seek fulfillment or my lack of void, right? Or my void in another area, right? And I think because of that accessibility, one of the things that we say comes with like great, that sounds corny, but great responsibility, where like I need to make a decision where I value Rachel so much that it doesn't matter how accessible another like short-lived fulfillment might be. Rachel, and the way that I wanted to approach a life with her is, regardless of how challenging and how bad things get in a relationship, that I approach it the same way that I would if she was my sister or my brother, where if we're family, it doesn't matter how bad things get. That's the mindset that I go into this relationship, where we need to figure out a solution because we are not leaving one another's side. And when we had that conversation probably like 2 months into dating.
Wow. Awesome.
And maybe 3 months, but it was just from the very beginning, it was so different in the way I think that I approached that relationship. And my guy friends around me saw it very quickly, where we began to make changes that abided by Rachel.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. I think it's really cool. Like, it's cool to hear that, because I feel like there's been seasons in my life where like I feel like I can relate a lot, and I feel like I'm going into a season that might look similar to the season you're in right now in the future,
I like that.
I think maybe a lot of viewers or listeners could relate to that as well,
Yeah.
Because there is that point, I think, where you have to make that transition. Like, you're maturing, you're getting older, and it's time to kind of go like that route. Right?
I think that's part of it, right? Of making that transition, but also I think it's just, we live in such like a instant gratification type of like world nowadays, where dude, anything is so accessible, especially when you have money and especially when you have a following. And then when you put that all together and then you mix like going out and the nightlife and stuff like that, it's literally an environment for disaster. It can be, where yes, it can be very fun if you do it moderately, but it also can be very easy to abuse. And I think that's what I began to pick up on, where I wanted to not seek fulfillment that only lasted or that was short-lived.
Yeah.
And I think that when I saw that potential with Rachel, it was just very easy for me to make that decision.
Yeah. How has she been during the entire process of your evolution and everything? And just, even in just supporting you and your vision and your ambition, like your goals, like not...
Dude, it is challenging, even though of how much I love her and she loves me, and having the baby, she's very level-headed. And she doesn't care about the money. She doesn't care about my following. Like, she's always treated me, she probably holds me more accountable than anyone else. And it's something that I've always really admired about her, where it has been, and we've encountered challenges more in this relationship than I've had in any other relationship. But it's because of how we approach it that it's allowed us to overcome those challenges. And a really good one that a really good piece of advice that she gave me was when we had Remy. And I think a very big mistake that a lot of new parents, I don't want to say mistake, right? Because what experience do I have 5 months into it? But one of the things I found myself doing very early on is I began to only focus and try to love as much as I could Remy. And because that's what I want. I wanted our family to work, and we're doing it for Remy. But without Rachel and I, there is no family. There is no foundation. And therefore, we can't provide her that glorified family, right? And when Rachel made me understand that, I feel like that's what really encouraged me to work so much more intentional with our relationship, so we can then provide that for Remy.
That's really, I think that is a really good point. Something that like I can envision being like something that you're not cognizant of. Like, you're trying so hard, but you almost like have tunnel vision, and you're forgetting about other realities, that you have to like kind of juggle the balls like a little bit in a sense, and do your best to make sure you're like giving the attention that you have to give to each individual aspect of like the thing, you know. I absolutely love that. I think it's like really valuable, like to hear and to even just be able to share the experiences that you're going through. I think are super valuable for people.
Yeah, man. No, I enjoyed it. One of the things that I always like to say is that nothing in life worth doing or having should ever come easy. And relationships, business, success, anything, I think is no excuse to that.
Yeah, I agree. Anything worth having is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a journey. And I think the best relationships are the ones that take work and they take effort. And you get through stuff, and there's trials and tribulations. And I always used to say, like, there's no testimony without a test. You know, you hear all these public speakers and people that are preaching and whatever. And, you know, anybody that's like typically preaching to other people, they've typically been through like quite a bit.
Yeah,
and they have that experience to be able to relate to the audience or to whoever it is they're talking to in any area, relationships, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, you know, in business. If you've ever wondered where we skip trace all of our data, we actually use batchskiptracing.com. We skip trace millions of records on a monthly and annual basis, and this is how we do the wholesale volume that we do. This is also how we do so much volume in the retail real estate industry as well. Without good contact information, how are you ever supposed to get a hold of the homeowner? Again, we use batchskiptracing.com for all of our skip tracing solutions. And as you can tell, Batch has the best quality data in the industry. And good quality data is arguably one of the most important things that you can have as a real estate agent or real estate investor. When you use batchskiptracing.com, before you check out, make sure to use the discount code Zaback, Z-A-B-A-C-K, for a discount. Let's get back to the show. Well, I'll shift gears a little bit. So obviously, like, you still trade stocks. Are you still trading even in the market that we're in? Obviously, there's still, for somebody like you, you can pretty much trade at any market, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So trading stocks, flipping properties.
Correct.
You've got the car things more of like a hobby, but you obviously have the businesses with the guys.
I'm just the investor behind Karsten and more.
Got it. What is like the vision now? I mean, is it just to continue to build what it is that you're building? Is it to, you know, maybe own a bunch of rental properties one day? You obviously already own several rental properties, but
one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So you sold then a couple, correct me if I'm wrong, or did you not have a couple?
Because I had two next to one another.
Okay.
And then I had Bridgeport or my other house.
Yeah.
Let me just say the address real quick. Yeah. But yeah, I had a couple other properties, and I have my commercial building, right?
Yep.
But Nick is the one that's always been big on rentals.
Yeah.
My big focus, if anything, is I want everything to be self-sufficient, where if it's our e-commerce brand, especially on the real estate side of things, I feel like a lot of it is sourced through our social media, which I'm very grateful for. But I think when building a business, especially for every partner, we need to have at least, like, again, a solid foundation and systems in place where we can kind of like what you guys have, right? Yeah. Not kind of what you guys have. It is what you guys have. And I think, again, that's very motivating for me to see what you guys have in place. And it encourages us to, like, you know, put things into perspective where you're a person that we know, and that's something to work towards. I mean, we don't do a crazy amount of deals, even through our e-commerce brand. It's not like we do crazy numbers, but for every partner that I have, I just want it to continue to be able to scale and not be solely dependent on my push to make it succeed. And yeah, it'll be challenging, but I'm very confident that I have the right partners in place for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that we were talking a little bit before the show about Ryan Pineda.
Yep.
And you know, I've watched. I don't know Ryan personally, but I have watched him from afar, and maybe a DM, you know, back and forth or whatever. But that's about the extent of it. But he's somebody that actually kind of inspired me to, like, make some changes in my internal organizations. We were obviously building a lot of what we were building, but you know, just at least from afar, it looks like he's done a really good job of delegating.
Exactly.
And delegation is so crucial to doing what you just described, right?
Yep.
It's also very difficult.
Yeah.
I've spent many years trying to learn how to properly delegate. and incentivize people, create a phenomenal culture. I think culture is really big.
Yep.
Something you've done really good at too. But those are things that are not easy. They're very difficult. And what are some of the challenges that you faced in kind of, learning how to delegate and to, find the right people and things like that?
I think one of the biggest things is making sure people feel valued. And value is obviously most commonly referred to compensation, where very early on we had people that, it could have been on my side, or maybe I wasn't compensating enough for what I was asking. And I wasn't perfect, right? I mean, I started my businesses when I was 20 years old. I didn't have a mentor. I was learning as I went on. But I think just like Ryan's story, it's very encouraging to see someone out of the blue, because I think he blew up on TikTok with a video that I filmed with him. That's, I think, what he said. And out of the blue comes in and just starts busting down doors through social media on all platforms.
Yeah.
And that to me was very motivating, where, it made me take a more aggressive approach in how I choose to delegate. And I think a lot of people can say that about him, where it's not necessarily one of the things that you could see. It's like, it's not necessarily that he reaches the most people or anything like that, but he just puts in the work with his team and his systems in place. And I think that's what's most admirable, that like the hustle is there. And I think that's always been something that has been established in our, small circle, where, there were times where I do ask a lot of them, but I would just try to, slowly adjust as time went on their form of compensation, and making sure that they always feel valued. Because at the end of the day, if you don't feel valued for the work that you're doing, the quality of work that then you're providing is going to be so much less. And or you're going to try to pivot and do your own thing, right?
Yeah.
And what else can you expect from an entrepreneur themselves, right?
Right.
So
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Yeah, no, and it is really cool to see what Ryan did. And then not only like from the social media, so many other businesses stemmed from that. And I think that was really cool too, to see from afar, you know? I think that is like the most important thing, is delegation, building those teams and that sort of thing. So after you pull that off, there really is no like end goal. But once you're able to really do all of that, is there anything else that you eventually want to build? Do you want to eventually do like philanthropy? What are some things that, maybe a couple of years from now, 5 years from now?
I don't have a crazy like hope or anything like that my only goal that I really see myself have is I just want to be the best that I can for Remy and Rachel. And I want to be there for my partners. I do well enough where, of course, if an opportunity does arise, like I'm going to try to do my best in running with it. But there is nothing that I'm like, I need to do this by this age, or I just don't want that type of pressure. I don't need that type of pressure. I'm really enjoying my life now, more now than I ever have before. And I just want to make sure that, unlike before, I'm actually present. I feel like in my very early 20s, so much of my time was consumed on not being present, but just working. Now I want to make a transition, especially as I begin my family, just to be present, especially in moments that I know that I'll never get back. That's what I value most right now.
I love that. I think it's a really cool transition to see. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with not being present. They're either living in the future, or all they can really think about is just like achieving whatever goal, and they're not able to really enjoy that journey. But we're not promised tomorrow. And I think it's kind of a balancing act. And I still struggle with that at times, where I'm like, I just want to like build all this stuff, but then it's like, well, if I don't enjoy any of it along the way, then like, why am I even doing it?
Exactly.
Yep. And I think
and I'm definitely not there yet either, where, 100%, one of the main arguments that Rachel and I have is how much time I either spend working or in front of my computer. So again, still a challenge, still something I'm working on. But again, if there's a goal, that's definitely
that would be the goal. Yeah. And I think it's it's like a really cool goal to have.
I appreciate it.
It's a goal that I think like when the younger entrepreneur version doesn't think that's like a cool goal.
Yeah.
And then as you mature, you're like, that's a cool goal. You're like, I actually like really admire and respect and like look up to that, because it's just like maturity almost. You get to that point where it's like, well, why am I doing it? Like, what's the purpose? Like, so I can just make a bunch of money and then what? I mean, like, be lonely or, and so I think it's really cool to see that transition.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man.
I love
Thank
that a lot. With the market changing, and I'll keep it short. I know we're already getting a little bit long here. You said in the beginning you see a lot of opportunity in the upcoming market.
Yep.
What are some different things that you're going to be focused on with the real estate? You said, I believe off the podcast, you guys are still trying to buy a couple of properties and flip them. Is your goal to keep it around a couple a month, or are you going to try to take on some more projects?
So I'll talk about real estate and then the stock market. So for the real estate, the way that I view it is just because the market is becoming a little bit more iffy, our job is just to be more selective. So we've transitioned from a net 10% cash on cash return to now about 15%. So we're definitely more selective more now than ever before. We're not looking at or hoping that, hey, if we even hold this for a couple of more months, we'll probably even make more money. So that's the mindset with that, where we're still working on this every single day. We still have our guys, we still have our team, and I want to be proactive about it. I don't want there to be any excuse on, let's maybe take a month or 2 months off. No, like I want to show up still every day because the deals are still out there. They're just harder to find. Stock market, I think now is the best time to prepare for the market to recover. Not that you need to take action, not that you need to buy now, but if I were to ask you a simple question, if you were to buy and hold 1 or 2 stocks that are undervalued right now, what would those 2 stocks be? Where would you buy? How much would you buy them for? And when would you buy more? I think what people will come to find out is I think 2020 is a perfect example of this, where every previous recession, as the COVID recession, right, when the markets dipped very aggressively for about 2 months, and then the markets recovered and then surpassed previous all-time highs. The biggest mistake that people always talked about is, I should have bought more. But it's every previous recession that people view as a missed opportunity, but any current recession that they view as a risky time to invest, because it's all about looking back, being able to look back and be like, I should have done this.
Yeah.
Where my job is not to be perfect. My job is just try to be the best I can be and make sure that I can tolerate the time that it might take for the market to recover. I think that's how you stay very level-headed. Yeah. Not only can you be effective with being selective with the opportunities you choose to take, but having a level head by understanding that the markets can get worse before they get better, but that excites you.
Yeah,
so
I love that a lot.
Thank you.
You said like a really good one-liner in there that I'll have to go back and re-listen to. Yeah, like about looking back at looking back at that recession, and then I can't remember how you worded it, but it was really
every
good.
Previous recession is considered a missed opportunity, but every current recession is viewed as a risky time to invest. It's something that we say pretty often. It's because I want the people that follow us and the people in any market, like they just need to understand how money is made. And there's always the quote that now everyone's jumping on of like, the most millionaires are always made after a recession.
Right.
I've been spammed by that for the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
I think it's good to bring out that awareness. I also think it's good to make sure that we remind people to stay level-headed in the sense of the time that it might take for the market to recover in any condition. Yeah. Crypto and the stocks, I feel like, are the ones that react instantly. Real estate is a little bit more delayed.
Yep.
But, I think that if you put yourself, again, in a light enough position that you don't care how long it takes, but enough money that you take it seriously, you don't need to put in a bunch of money. It doesn't matter if you don't make a ton, but just so you know that it's possible.
Right.
And I think that's going to be the spark of something great.
I love that. Yeah, there's always another opportunity in the future, right? But
Exactly.
It's about seizing the opportunity while you can, proving to yourself that you're capable,
and then
so
scale
that
it.
You can be even more prepared eventually
Yep.
in the future. I love that. Well, I know that we're getting a little bit long here, so I'll ask you like a final question here, and then we'll wrap up. Of all the things that you've learned, kind of growing up, building the businesses, hiring the people, living with the guys, now having a daughter, moving in and living with Rachel and Remy, what is like a way of life or a thing that you've learned that maybe could apply to any area of life that is kind of a golden nugget, like something that you could really look at anybody, give them this piece of advice and, they would be able to take that piece of advice and implement it?
I wish I had something insane to say, but my biggest thing is, like you said, is consistency and intentionality, where like I was intentional and I am, and I try to be as intentional as I can with everything that I choose to do. Or if I choose to do something, I'm almost obsessive about it, not because of the monetary reward that's hopefully guaranteed, but just because I enjoy it. And regardless if I make a ton of money or just a small amount, that I enjoyed the process of it. And I think if people approach every opportunity with that same intention, with that same mindset, you make it so less discouraging that if you don't succeed right away, that you instantly refer to being discouraged from ever trying again. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I love that. Well, I think that's worth a mic drop. That's definitely
Thank
gold.
you, homeboy.
And
I appreciate it.
I love that, man. I know, everybody can find you. I'll put all the information in the description or in the bottom of Spotify, iTunes, and whatever. Ricky Gutierrez on YouTube.
Yep.
On Instagram, I believe it's Ricky Gutierrez, correct?
Yep, 2 Z's. So if you guys ever just have any questions, I respond to all of my direct messages. So just hit me up.
Love it. Well, we'll put all of your information down below. Guys, if you're watching and you got to the end, we'd really appreciate if you smash the like button, subscribe, leave a review. And thank you so much for being here, Ricky.
Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one.